Why are people deliberately making themselves look ugly? Before we go any further, I just want to give credit for this idea to make this video to Yummy Mummy Amanda. You know who you are. You posted this on Fascist Book, and I saw it. I said, this is facts.com, truth.edu. I'm going to share it. And here we are. Because you see this in everyday life. Look, you have a gal that looks like this, changes herself to that. Right? Why are people deliberately making themselves look ugly? This is not really a new topic, but it's a topic that really hasn't been addressed that much. And it's not just people. It's the world. It's looking uglier and uglier every day. Thousands of people are making themselves look unattractive and then revealing their so-called flawless beauty in videos in socialist media. It's part of a trend called the Don't Judge Challenge, which appears to have been started as a statement against body shaming. And riposte, I don't know what the hell that were, to conventional standards of beauty. In other words, they're rebelling against conventional standards of beauty is what it is. And you see this in cartoons, you hear it in music, the jungle beats, the auto-tune, the crap rap music. Nothing's nearly as good as it used to be. Classical music it's what they say is a thing of beauty, really, compared to anything that we have today in this newfangled modern music. And it goes beyond that. It goes beyond that. So this is a BBC article. Now, this is nothing new. This is old, actually. It's old hat, really. It's 10 years old. It's just that it hasn't been really gained a lot of momentum or attraction, because we see this every damn day, but yet hardly anybody's addressing it. And what this is an attack on us. It's an attack on God's creation, really. It's a war on beauty is what we have. And this is the post that Amanda Vollmer had put on Facebook, and I shared it to my wall, my profile, and I thought, I looked at all the other stuff in the news, and I was like, there ain't nothing more pressing than this matter currently, because the uglification of the world pretty much encompasses everything that these POSs that are doing. They're going after the genetically modifying this, Franken foods, they're chemtrailing our skies, they're creating clones, they have deep underground militarized bases, facking with this, facking with that, creating this, creating that. You have trying to pierce the veil with their so-called rockets. And we're going to get into that, but this is the post. The uglification of everything is a very effective psychological demoralization tactic used to weaken an enemy. It's used to weaken an enemy without them even knowing it. Take, for instance, this thingamajig, whatever. It's unbelievable. You see this in Hollywood, you see this in athletes, sports, just everywhere in your daily walk. The uglification of everything is a very effective psychological demoralization tactic used to weaken an enemy without them knowing. When you make everything ugly and confusing, like confused genders, you can remove a human's ability to resist their takeover and even remove their will to live. Look at our architecture, the modern architecture. I just discovered a new terminology for this ugly architecture called brutal architecture, because it looks brutal, right? Look at who the media glorifies. They glorify the inverted world. They glorify trans. They glorify anything that's ungodly. Lizzo, fat slob, to say the very least. They glorify that. That's beautiful, according to the media. Right? Trans men going down, doing the catwalk, right? In these model shows. They glorify that. It goes beyond that, but look at the movies, yeah. Look at the movies. Look at the movies. It's gotten progressively worse over the years. Bad, very bad. And you know the agenda, the woke agendas in the movies, in the video games, look at the cartoons. I even said this 20-something years ago. I said, so my kids were watching, they had Ren and Stimpy, but it was a cat dog. But no, it went beyond that. I noticed that the cartoons, they were all like flat and had two eyes on one side, which is very strange. I said, these cartoons are looking more and more disgusting as time goes on. I even said that these cartoons are nothing like we grew up. These cartoons are disgusting looking. That was 20 years ago. 20 plus years ago. Early to mid 2000s, I said that. So look at this. This is nothing compared to what we grew up. This is disgusting. This is hideous. Looking at these cartoons. But I didn't know at the time that this is a war. This is a psychological tactic, right? And so Jason Christoff right here, made this statement that this is a psychological demoralization tactic. He's saying that these idiots, they actually sign up to look like this, not knowing that they're being tricked and being used in this psychological demoralization tactic, this uglification. They think this looks good. They opt in for this. You know, back in the 90s, I saw the tramp stamp started trending, like the mid-90s. Before that, I didn't know anybody had a tattoo except maybe an uncle that, well, let's just say he didn't always make the right choices when he was younger. So kind of like either you were in jail or you were a sailor. It's the only thing I knew, people I knew that had tattoos. But all of a sudden, women were getting the tramp stamp. Remember that? Trying to make tattoos great. But then it kind of snowballed over time, and now everyone looks like this. Tattoos everywhere. Remember, I covered that video showing you that tattoos are portals. Makes sense, really, when you think of it. Not to mention that the ink causes cancer. I think it's leukemia for starters. I got 2 tattoos, but they're very small, and that was years ago, and that was it. I stopped, put the brakes on it, and if I could get rid of it, I would. But it goes beyond that. It's Kool-Aid in the hair. It's the pants on the ground. It's the cartoons. People used to watch cartoons. Now they look like cartoons. An example of the brutal architecture. It's just jumbled up. It's ugly. It's not classy looking. It's not elegant. It's not anything like the architecture of old, which they're destroying, and they're replacing it with crap like this. And if you notice that, it's just about everywhere you go, things are starting to all look the same. Places where you go, same businesses like McDonald's is everywhere. This business that you see in your towns everywhere. And the phasing out of of course, the originality, the mom and pop stores. Now places are looking at the same. Everything's looking the same. And I also noticed this with cars over time. Now, you might beg to differ, but I can't help but think how distinct cars used to look. No? Is that why people who can afford it collect classic cars? Is it because they were unoriginal or very original? Who's going to collect a 2025, 2015, whatever, 2010, 2005 Hyundai or anything they make these days? They all look the same. I can't tell unless I had to study it and look for one little nuance that I could tell the difference between each car. Otherwise, I couldn't tell the difference between one brand to the other. They all look the same to me. And you could apply that to other things, but they all look the same. And remember Common Core. Remember that? The curriculum Common Core that they want to introduce in, I think it was 2013. Common. Everything's starting to look really common. It's like the hive mind. Everyone thinks the same. They want to look the same, pretty much. Nose rings, Kool-Aid in the hair. It's this one ridiculous thing. The brutal architecture replacing the good-looking architecture of old. There's a reason why people flock to certain places in Europe, even though Europe's changing now too. There's a reason why. They admire the architecture. I admire good-looking classical, architecture. You know, when I go to places like, I've been to New Orleans once, Charleston, Savannah, the wrought iron that they have in the architecture and the way the buildings look, the centuries old. I like that. I also find myself more relaxed when I listen to classical music. When I listen to a lot of music today, a lot of it pisses me off because it sucks. But some of it I like still, but it's not like, there's a big difference between today's music and classical music. There's a big difference between the architecture, modern architecture, and classical architecture. There's a big difference between how people look today and how they are compared to a generation or two ago. There's a big difference in the movies, a big difference in everything, including us guys. But right here, you got children looking like cartoons. Parents that are opting to allow or actually impose gender identity. In other words, if they see their little boy who's 5 years old, might pick up a little girl's toy, maybe a Barbie, the parent will say, he's a girl. Let's make sure we transition him. You got a lot of that, right? You got a lot of cartoons out there. And it's not just the children. It's older people, like teenagers in their 20s. Come on, you go to a grocery store, you see the person working there, she might be 18, or he might be 18 or 19, 20, or in the mid-20s, or early 20s, or even older than that nowadays. It doesn't stop there. It could be in 30s nowadays. You could see someone that looks like a grandma. Should be a grandma. Maybe is one. With pink hair. Absolute cartoons. The uglification. Right? And they opt into this thinking that it's cool. It's bueno, it's great. No, it's not. It's disgusting. Right there. Can you give examples of your daily walk in your daily life? What do you see that you find to be atrocious, cartoonish, retarded in your daily walk? Looking, and it never used to be like this. You're like, this is not normal. This person's none of this is normal. Behavior included. Video games. Rejected. A feminine looking girl. Attractive, pretty. You know. This is Ubisoft logic. And this is what's approved. Kind of mannish. You know, butchish. Which one do you think is better looking? Come on, man. Come on. But this is what they're pushing. Uglification in video games. Constant bombardment of them saying this is better looking than that. Then there's their chemtrails. A red sky. How many times have you seen a purple sky? Purple with red and yellow. Something like out of a factory. If Mars was really Mars, like if it was really a planet, if there were really planets out there and there was their atmosphere as they depicted in the movies, sci-fi movies, if Mars was really a real thing, well, you got Mars right there. That is very otherworldly. Terraforming the Earth. That's not normal. But you got people out there that go, that's contrails, and that's a pretty sky. They'll literally post something like this on social media saying, what a beautiful sky we have. That's an ugly sky. That's a toxic sky. The uglification of our skies, of the sheeple. Just today, I was, or this evening, I was going to Huddle House. I like me some Huddle House, all right? Huddle House is good. You don't know what a Huddle House is? It's like Waffle House. I kind of like it better. The location that I go to anyway. Haven't been there in almost a year. But before I went inside, I happened to look up. I filmed it. What were they doing up to the sky? All that bullshit spraying us like bugs. It was blue earlier with some puffy clouds. Then it was the flat bullshit like this all over. Plastered skies. That's not a good thing. That's not a beautiful thing. That's an ugly thing. It's the uglification of just about everything. Can you find beauty in this world? Of course you still can. Of course. But they're working hard. The devil's working overtime to destroy that. What else do we have? Before we go any further into behavior, ugly behavior, let's roll back to this. The uglification of children is a sign of something sinister. This is an article by Kimberly Ells. She says, I saw a teenage girl at the store recently. She was hardly recognizable as a teenage girl because of the extreme facial piercings. You got a nose ring right here. What are you? Are you a pig? You got to lead you by your nose? Is that what you are? Is that what you say? Pants on the ground. What does that mean? You want it up the butt? That's a prison thing. It means you're queer. You're not cool. You look like a complete moron. No one wants to see you effing underwear. All right? And there's a guy at a restaurant that we've been to over the years who is if Grizzly Adams had a retarded brother, yeah, butt crack, always sitting on a stool showing your butt crack, that's ugly too. Nobody wants to see your damn ass while we're eating. All right? But this is just, everyone thinks, no one says a word about it. No one says anything about it. We've brought that topic up and said this is indecent exposure. But it's almost like it falls upon deaf ears. But that aside, these children, it's just ugly. We see ugly behaviors, what I'm trying to say. Ugly things everywhere we go. She says, I saw a teenage girl at the store recently. She was hardly recognizable as a teenage girl because of the extreme facial piercings, the Halloween-inspired makeup, the outlandish hairdo, and the dark and foreboding clothes. She looked truly frightening. Yeah. How many... This thing sort of started back, I think, in the 80s with the goth look. Right? Kind of dabbling in the macabre look. Right? But it's just total clown world is what we have. She says several days ago, the person that wrote this article, Kimberly Ells, she says several days ago, I saw a different teenage girl walking home from the bus stop. She had a knitted hat with multiple pom-poms on it. purple hair, bright rainbow leggings, and a puffy rainbow jacket, circus-inspired makeup, a short tutu-type skirt, and generally look like a disturbed clown flouncing down the street. She says, I see girls like this, even in my conservative state, neighborhood, etc., quite often, and I often wonder, where are the parents? Surely these girls are not homeless. In other words, they look homeless, and this person's saying, I keep seeing this over and over again. Do they have parents? Where are the parents? She goes on to say, this is what happens when you have children, unfettered children, meaning they're not being looked after. There's no parents being parents in their lives. And so they get influenced by strangers on the internet, in particular, influences, so to speak. Influences could be, or not so to speak, influences or whatever other retard is pushing this stupid agenda. And so the children follow suit because there's no parents there to say, hey, Johnny and Susie, you better not do that. That's retarded. You're not going to be dressing like that and look like a fucking clown in my house. There's no parent doing that, right? Of these children. And so they go on to dress like clowns, look completely retarded, look like they just fucking broke loose from an insane asylum. And everyone's like, hey, big thumbs up. You look like a fucking clown. You dress like Where's Waldo. Isn't that Where's Waldo? Isn't that the attire? She goes on to say, bring back stranger danger. In other words, do not be looking to strangers, children. These children should not be being influenced by strangers. They should be... don't have these strangers influencing your children, in other words. Have the parents, the parental influence is what we need back in the house. But I digress. At any rate, bring back the parental influence. That's what we need to have. But, of course, there's been an attack on the family unit for decades, and this is the result. Right? Well, one of the results. Here's another article. This is from Medium. Imagine walking through a city where every building looks the same, each building more lifeless than the last, or watching movies where heroes are as flawed and morally ambiguous as the villains they oppose. This isn't a dystopian nightmare, this is a reality. Watching movies where heroes, you can't tell the difference if the hero's a hero or a villain. You should be able to tell the difference. It should be contrast. But imagine watching movies where heroes are as flawed and morally kind of sort of bankrupt as the villains they oppose. That's the reality we're in. Imagine walking through a city where every building looks the same, each more lifeless than the last. That's the reality we're in. Imagine cars, these newer cars, looking like the other one. Every damn car looks the same. Every damn thing. They ain't nothing. Come on, man. Come on, man. The uglification of culture is a psychological and sociological demoralization. And we could go on and on and on this. Could we not? Of course. So let's take a look at this. Let me get into this real quick. Just part of this article. In a world where ugliness and confusion reigns, could it be that we are witnessing a deliberate assault on our very sense of beauty and morality? In contemporary society, there's a growing sentiment that culture, media, and public spaces are becoming increasingly devoid of aesthetic appeal, meaning the world's become more ugly. There's a lack of coherence and moral substance. This phenomenon, which might be termed the uglification of moralization, appears to be a deliberate process aimed at undermining social cohesion, diminishing cultural pride, and eroding the human spirit. I thought are we supposed to be in a post-human world? Post-truth too? Right? Is it? So yeah, it stands to reason. But let's take a look at more uglification. There's, of course, the Antifa orchestrated riots, ugly behavior, Black Lives Matter. What a charade that is. They act like Black Lives Matter as they burn down inner cities, they burn down black businesses, kill blacks. Ugly behavior. It's BS. It's all nonsense. Then you see this common denominator. I've been talking about this for the last 4 years right here on this channel, BitChute. But I've been talking about this for a long time. Common denominator behavior. You see this right here. Doing this to a Tesla. Fake news is going after Elon, blah, 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 so let's act upon it and do this and do that. A kid looks like he's like 8 years old doing this. All kinds of lawless behavior coming mostly from a certain crowd. Now, if you think this is, I'm picking on a certain group, oh, there you go, asshole. If you think this is picking on a certain group of people, well, no, it's not picking on, it's addressing. You need to address your own if you don't like it, because this is what we see. It's not Indians doing this. It's not Asians doing this. They're at work. BTW. It's not Mexicanos doing this. Latinos, whatever you want to say. Now, a lot of them are at work. A lot of them ain't doing this unless they're invaders. And even them ain't doing this. I haven't seen videos like this. I just haven't seen it from any other crowd, any other lot of people except for this. Knocking things over. You seen that video of a waiter carrying big platters of food, about to go through the door, and common denominator is exiting the other way, and just flips over the food with his hand. See that? I saw it. The common denominator is doing things like this constantly. It's not just ugly looks. It's not just the ugly skies, the brutal architecture replacing the nice architecture, the shitty music, the shitty looking people all friggin' covered up top to bottom with all this nonsense. It's behavior. It's attitude. It's behavior. It's a lack of morality. It's ugliness all over. Not to say there is good pockets of good, because there are, but it seems like that's diminishing as time goes on. This is why I say I have to take it back if I call someone an animal, because that's an insult to the animal kingdom. Animals are better than most people. I mean, this is what you see constantly, over and over. Common theme. If you don't like this, if you're of this community, and you don't like this being shown, how about getting onto your own? How about saying, hey, y'all, you need to straighten up. You're making the rest of us good people look bad. Because there are good people in this community. There are. There are intelligent people in this community. There's successful people, quite a bit of successful, even the ones that are stupid, like rappers, crap rap, and gold chains. There's a lot of them that are successful, but I'm talking about the intellectual ones. There's a lot of them out there. There's a lot of good ones out there. It's just that these are making the good ones look bad. This is the 13% of so-called 13% of the population doing 50+% of the crime. Murders, robberies, you name it. Not Joe Namath, you name it. But I'm just saying, I digress at any rate. It's this crowd. So if you don't like this, what I'm saying, then fucking address your community and say, hey, y'all need to straighten up. You gotta stop doing this shit. Stop having babies by different baby mama, and be a dad to your children, be a father to your children. Stop doing this. It ain't working. How about doing that? How about addressing community and saying, stop living a lawless life. Get Jesus in you. Get some kind of good moral code. I mean, come on, man. This is all we see. This is all we see. Bad behavior, ugly behavior, shitty behavior. It's unbelievable where we're at. But I'll leave it at that. Always this is all we see. Show me the compilation of Indians from India over here doing this. You ain't gonna find it. How about Asians acting a fool? You ain't gonna find it. How about even Mexicanos in the Estados Unidos doing stuff like this? I haven't seen any of those. How about Latinos or Latinas? I haven't seen any of those. It's probably a video or two, but not like this. This is dime a dozen. This is constant. How about white people? Other than Antifa, soy boy, But I haven't seen this as a common occurrence in a city near you, like we see with this. So knock it the fuck off. I'm not the only one saying this, and there are even black people calling their own blacks out, saying knock it the hell off. This is ugly behavior, but this is part of the uglification of the world. Oh baby, it's a wild world, but it's also a damn fucking ugly world. But it's also, there's a lot of beauty in it too. I'm not saying it, but it seems like the ugly is trying to take over the beauty. This is stupid. This is damn stupid. Covering yourself up head to toe in ink, whether you like me saying this or not, it's facts. That's not how God created any of us. Like I said, I have 2 tattoos. I would get them removed if I could, but I can't afford that shit. All the piercings, crappy behavior, the lack of loyalty to family that you see increasing, the divorce rate, it's all disgusting. It's all ugly. And leave it at that. Don't be a troll out there. Oh yeah, trolls are one of the biggest ugly POSs out there. But I'm gonna leave it at that. Yeah, look at this. Not her. These fat bastards showcasing the stungies. Not her. Oh, that's an ad. Fatso's letting everything hang out. That's another thing. Showcasing all that. I can get into that, but it's late. That's what I got if you don't be a troll. Thumbs down, clowns. They're ugly. Trolls, they're ugly. Things that they say are ugly. Facking trolls. They can fack off. At any rate. Like, share, subscribe, or don't. At any rate. I am Oot. Don't be a weirdo out there. Don't be a troll. If you see a troll, say something. Stuff that ain't truth pipe and smoke it. Make way. Because the current must flow. And if you listen to this. You are the resistance.
Sweet dreams.